Okay. I know what you're gonna say. Protendo, didn't you say the last Frisk video was the last one? Didn't you literally title it The Final Look? Okay, but one more. Hey guys, it's Protendo, and this video is unscripted. I don't really do very many of these. I don't know. I feel like the last one I really did was for channel updates or something. Because, I like to sound like I actually know what I'm talking about most of the time, which I can't usually portray without a script. But hey, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm just rambling, I guess, because I need to talk about this. I need to. I'm gonna go crazy if I don't talk about this more. I'm sorry, I know I said the last video is the final look. It's not. I lied. I can't even say for certain that this is gonna be the last look, because Frisk and Smash, it's on my mind so much. I need to talk about it. I need to theorize and think and just say everything that I've had banging around in my head, because it never stops. It never stops. It's something that I think about daily. That's a lie. Probably like every hour. So anyways, for the uninformed, Frisk from Undertale is my most wanted character for Smash Ultimate. I am a major Undertale fan. It's my favorite game ever, my favorite piece of media ever. I love it to pieces. Sans costume, really, really cool. I loved seeing that. But that doesn't, getting a Mii costume, it doesn't really diminish at all your want for a true character to be represented in Smash, especially in the way that especially in the way that the Fighter's Pass does, because it's not just the character. You're getting a character, a lot of music, a stage. Like it's essentially representing the whole series. So everyone wants that, really. Everyone wants to see their favorite series or character represented in the Fighter's Pass so that they can have all this content in the game. That's exactly how I feel about Frisk and Undertale. I want it so badly. So yeah, this video sort of has no direction, but I'm just gonna talk about everything I've been thinking about in regards to Frisk, because if you remember in the last video, in the final look at Frisk, I said that I couldn't fully predict Frisk just because, even though I think they're somewhat likely, like they have some things going for them, the evidence of all the other fighters was too prevalent for me to definitively say that Frisk could be one of them. And you know what? I am now fully predicting Frisk from Undertale as the final fighter in Smash Ultimate. For the final fighter Smash will see in at least half a decade will be Frisk from Undertale. Now you might be asking me, how am I so sure? The answer is I'm not sure. I'm just making these claims because what is the point anyways? I literally made a video predicting 100 Smash Ultimate characters, the joke being that I was obviously going to be right because it's 100, so there's no way I could be wrong, and I was wrong anyways. So clearly, mass predictions aren't a thing that works, and I instead need to focus, I need to think, and go with one character. That character is Frisk from Undertale. They will be the final Smash Ultimate character. Here is why. Okay, here's why. Let's talk about the weirdest thing first, because this is something that is constantly in my mind, and I will never forget it. Where are the spirits? Where are Undertale spirits? Actually think for a second. Where are they? Because you might say, oh, it's an indie series, so that's why I didn't get spirits. But Shantae has a spirit in the game. Doesn't Shovel Knight have a spirit? Maybe not. I don't know. I have to check that. Cuphead, who has a situation most similar to Sans, because he came into the game as a Mii costume, and then immediately got spirits. Sans came into the game prior to Cuphead, almost 2 years ago now, not one word of Undertale spirits. And you might be saying, well, Mika, that's not that strange, because it's Nintendo. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo, they do weird things. And yes, this could just be Nintendo being weird, but it's so strange because of what Undertale is. Undertale is a character-driven game. It's mostly known for its characters. If you ask a random person who hasn't played Undertale what they know about Undertale, they're gonna say it's characters and music, maybe Sans and Megalovania, So to see such a, it would be so easy for Nintendo, and also marketable and profitable for them to do, to add a handful of Undertale spirits to the game, like they did for Cuphead. And Cuphead's characters aren't even nearly as recognizable as, well, I shouldn't say that, Cuphead is obviously a very good game, and a lot of people recognize it, but Undertale's characters, in terms of recognizability, are on a whole other level. So why wouldn't Nintendo want to represent that through spirits? It's so strange. It can't be through a lack of it. And it's can't imagine that Toby Fox would deny them more spirits because he is so buddy with Sakurai, and that's something else we'll talk about later. So I don't know why there are no spirits in this game from Undertale. However, we have seen some strange instances in the past of spirits being held off to release alongside a fighter, most prominently with Byleth. People noticed that there were no Three Houses spirits in the game. There was no Three Houses spirit event, even though other Nintendo games releasing around that time were getting, like Astral Chain, for instance, got spirit events. They had like little updates where those spirits got added to the game. Fire Emblem Three Houses didn't get that, and a handful of people pointed out at the time. They're like, hey, isn't it weird that these aren't getting spirits? And, everyone else was like, no, the final character's gonna be like Crash, shut up, it's gonna be a big third-party character. And look how that turned out, it was Byleth. So, the fact that almost 2 years later since Sans, like, honestly, like, in a couple months, it will have been 2 years since Sans was announced and released. There still hasn't been a word of any Undertale spirits, and the weirdest thing is they had 2 perfect opportunities to do so. Like, one, obviously when Sans released, because obviously doing it alongside the character makes the most sense, and 2, last September, because it was Undertale's 5th anniversary, and we see that Sakurai in Smash loves to celebrate anniversaries, either with just like a Twitter post or sometimes releasing like anniversary spirit events. Why wasn't that the case for Undertale? 2 perfect chances to include spirits in the game that will make Nintendo money. Yet they don't do it. That's a little strange. That is a little strange. I can't, like, I don't know why that would be the case unless they're holding off for something else. Because here's the thing, even if Frisk is not a fighter in this game, I do think we will get more Undertale content somehow, some way. I think a Chris from Deltarune costume, like a sword fighter, could happen, and they could bring spirits alongside them. Because there's no other explanation for this. It is easily the weirdest thing that could potentially point towards a Frisk reveal. Also, moving on to, to talking more so about the Sans costume, a lot of people were asking, if Frisk is going to be in the game, why would they add the Sans costume? Why would that be included if Frisk was just going to come later? Wouldn't Sans come alongside Frisk? And, this was something that I thought a lot about, too, beforehand. I was thinking maybe after Sans, and I still believe this, but I was thinking maybe after Sans, after seeing his insane popularity and reception, because, mind you, there's only one Fighter's Pass character that has gotten a bigger reception, or a bigger reaction than Sans, and it was Steve. Like, you can look online and see the reaction to Sans. They outweigh most of the fighters, aside from Steve, who is from the biggest game in the world. So that should say something about Undertale's popularity and, why Nintendo could potentially want a character. But yeah, I was thinking to myself, maybe that's the reason why Sans' costume came first, because it is a little strange that they would release Sans if they later planned to release Frisk. But then, Kazuya happened, the latest Smash Ultimate character from Tekken, and who was a Mii costume alongside Min Min? Heihachi from Tekken. The most popular character from that franchise was a Mii costume a year prior to Kazuya's inclusion. That is a little strange. And mind you, like, this is in the same pass even. Like, he was released during Fighter's Pass 2, and Kazuya was released in Fighter's Pass 2. So clearly, a Mii costume of the most popular character from the franchise being released beforehand doesn't matter. It doesn't have any impact whatsoever on the, well, I shouldn't say that, because obviously, if there's no other candidate from that series, then it's going to be more difficult to get a character. Like, for example, I wouldn't say that a Super Mario RPG character is still likely just because Geno was added, because no, they're not going to add Mallow. Geno was like the only character from that game that was highly requested. Undertale is a different scenario, because, similarly to Heihachi, Sans is the most popular character from that game. Easily. Like, without a doubt. You can ask a child who's, you can show them a picture of Sans and they'd say, oh yeah, that's Sans Undertale, You can show them a picture of Frisk, they wouldn't necessarily say the same thing. But, while Sans is the most popular character, Frisk is the protagonist, and through their moveset, they could represent Undertale better than any other character could. So if I'm Sakurai, yeah, it makes sense to get out this Mii costume, get people to pay for it, but then later on, release the full character that actually represents the game. And that's another thing, representing the game. Sans, I love Sans, you know, he's my favorite Undertale character, easily, which makes me really basic, but whatever. I love Sans. He would not represent Undertale better than Frisk. Frisk, with a leveling mechanic, with saving abilities as like a sort of teleport, with different weapons from the game, they can easily represent Undertale better than any other character could possibly hope to do. So, them, you know, Sans being released beforehand, just like Heihachi, and then Kazuya being released later, that could also coincide with Frisk being released later. Sakurai said himself that the reason Heihachi wasn't chosen was because he didn't have the Devil Gene, and they thought that wasn't, you know, wasn't going to be gimmicky enough of a moveset, that it wouldn't have been interesting. What if the same thing happened with Sans? Sakurai took a look at Sans, saw what he provided, and was like, this guy's cool, he's the most popular one, make him a Mii costume that people can buy, then we'll turn Frisk into the fighter. I don't know, like, that doesn't seem too impossible for me. Also, just to delve into complete theory territory, like this, you know, the stuff I said before had some sort of validity. This really doesn't. This is just me imagining stuff, I guess. But I still find it weird that this Fighter's Pass has 6 characters instead of 5. The first one had 5. That was a perfect number. Everyone was fine with that. No one complained. And if this one had 5, then Smash Ultimate would have ended with 10 DLC characters. It seems really perfect. You know, so it's a little strange that this one has 6. Especially since looking at past DLC packs from Nintendo, they usually like to keep things even. Like, look at Mario Kart 8's DLC on the Wii U, right? They had 2 packs, and each one had the exact same amount of content. It had the same amount of characters and stages, courses rather, and maybe car parts. I think it had car parts as well. It was equal, is my point. So why the sudden shift? Why shift to 6 instead of 5? Here's what I'm thinking, right? What if Sakurai and Nintendo had picked 5 characters? You know, they were a go for the next Fighter's Pass until Nintendo noticed something. Nintendo noticed a buzz forming around a certain character, or rather series, because of something that they did. That buzz, of course, being Sans. His reaction was nearly internet breaking. I can't undersell how huge Sans' inclusion in Smash was. Like, go back and check anyone's reactions at all. I am not exaggerating when I say that Sans and Steve easily are the biggest, like, reactions that Smash Ultimate DLC has gotten. And Sans isn't even a character. He's a costume for a Mii. Yet he outranged all 9, not 9, how many DLC characters have been bred so far? I guess... No, yeah, 9, aside from Steve, yeah. He outranked all 9 other characters, right? That is obviously going to cause some sort of buzz in Nintendo's office. Like, they're going to be like, oh? And obviously, you know, Sans obviously would have made a lot of money, so they're going to be like, this guy's making us a lot of money? He's hugely popular? Why not? Hey, Sakurai, let's add 1 additional character to this Fighter's Pass, making it 6 instead of 5. Let's add 1 more from Undertale. It's going to make us bank. It's going to make people happy because it's insanely popular. Well, you know, it's the Smash community, so obviously some people are going to be angry, but it's going to make a lot of people happy, and it further represents our relationship with indies in this generation because Nintendo has loved indies so much in the Switch era. They have their own directs with, like, indie worlds. They are included prominently within Nintendo directs. Nintendo, like, collaborates with indies. They made Cadence of Hyrule, right? Like, they're letting indies handle their first-party IPs. This is insane. An indie fighter could happen, and if it does, you know, this is further helped by Shantae being out of the running. If it does, then Frisk is one of the most possible chances that there is, alongside maybe Shovel Knight. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Frisk has an even better shot than Shovel Knight, and a lot of that also has to do with Toby Fox. Toby Fox, legend, you know, creator of Undertale, for those who don't know. He has a fantastic relationship with not only Sakurai, but Nintendo as well, because he worked on, well, I shouldn't say worked on, more so like made music for. He composed for Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is one of the Switch's best-selling titles, which, you know, obviously marks a good relationship between him and Nintendo, especially when they're promoting that so prominently. Like, they are proud to say Toby Fox helped do this. And additionally, he is also both of his games were prominently showed off in Nintendo Directs, which means that Nintendo is fully aware of the power that Undertale contains. Like, in both Directs, they were like, hey, Undertale on the Switch, go check it out. Hey, Deltarune on the Switch, we're the first console to have it, go check it out. That was the first console announcement for Deltarune, mind you. It was in a Nintendo Direct. And as if that wasn't enough, Toby and Sakurai are literally like buddies. And that isn't hyperbole. Like, they are friends. Toby went to Sakurai's house and played Smash with him. Like, he got driven there by Sakurai himself while they listened to Smash music in the car, and they played a round of Smash Bros. And, like, Toby won, I think. But the fact, like, that is so insane. This American, like, 20-year-old, I don't know exactly how old Toby Fox is, but this young American indie dev went to Sakurai's house to play Smash with him. What? Like it seems kind of normal now because we're used to hearing that story, but just think about that for a second. What? This is a thing that happened? That is so insane. So, Toby Fox, he's buddy-buddy with Nintendo. He is buddies in the literal sense with Sakurai. He made one of the most... And Undertale is huge in Japan, by the way. Like, I shouldn't forget to say that either. Undertale is both huge in the West and Japan. So it would be pleasing to both, to both the West and the East. People would be happy from Nintendo's perspective. Why wouldn't this be the indie choice? I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's like the stars are aligning after Sans, after witnessing that success, after realizing that they have a fantastic relationship with the creator of Undertale, both Sakurai and Nintendo. And also, Sakurai in the past has talked about how much of a pain it can be to go through all the licensing issues with Smash. Like getting all the... He's specifically, I think he said that in the Sephiroth presentation, how it's like a pain, because they have to go through like every IP holder and every copyright holder that has used that character or whatever. So, the fact that... So, if an additional character... Well, I say additional character, they're part of the past. But if someone else was thrown onto the past at the last second, right? Why wouldn't it be a character who is owned by a single guy? Negotiations can be done with a single man, and a single man alongside Temmie, because she understands how the characters are supposed to look in like a more cartoonish sort of visual style that isn't pixelated. So two people, instead of an entire team of executives, you get to work with two people alone. And you tell me that isn't one of the easier things that Sakurai's had to do. Like, I can't stop. This video is almost 20 minutes long. I can't stop thinking about it. It's just, I don't know. And even going further into theory territory, right? If this pass didn't have Challenger Pack 11, if there wasn't one more character left, right? It would have ended with Kazuya. And some people might say, "Oh, that's a little underwhelming," but no, it makes perfect sense. Because Bandai Namco is co-developing Smash Ultimate as they did Smash 4, and until Kazuya, they still hadn't gotten another character. So, finishing off with their own character makes perfect sense. Especially since Nintendo has already put in their 2 cents with this pass. They've already gotten their 2 characters with Min Min and Pyra and Mithra. So obviously, Bandai Namco finishing with one of their characters makes perfect sense. So then throwing in someone else. Throwing in someone else after Kazuya, that might also tie back into this being an additional character. And if that's the case, then that also ties back into it being an Undertale character. And if that's the case, it ties back into it potentially being Frisk from Undertale as the final Smash Ultimate character. Oh, this is... I don't know, guys. I don't know. This is a 20-minute long video of me rambling about Frisk. This is one of my longest videos, and it's just me aimlessly talking about Frisk. Well, I do have some notes here that I wanted to go over, but... Oh yeah, last thing. Well, I can't say it's the last thing, but voice theory. If you guys haven't heard of voice theory, it's essentially this. When Steve was added to Smash Ultimate, some voice files were added to the game, some empty ones. Voice slots, rather. Empty voice slots were added to the game. And there were 4 of them. Right? Something similar happened in Fighters Pass 1. After Joker, there were sorry, after Joker, there were 6 added. Wait, was it 6 or was it? No, 5 rather, sorry. There were 5 added after Joker, which essentially made people think, oh, okay, maybe one character here will have 2 voices, which will fill up both those slots. That ended up being the case. We got male Byleth and female Byleth. They had different voices. Voice theory was true. We have voice theory again for Fighters Pass 2. After Steve was added, 5 voice slots empty were added into the game. So let's see how those got filled, right? Following Steve, we got Sephiroth. That's 1. Sephiroth's inclusion added different voice lines for what's it called? Advent Children Cloud. That's 2, because he got his own section there as well. Pyra and Mithra, a dual character. That's 3 and 4. Then we got Kazuya. That's 5. Right? So there's no voice slots left, so you might think, oh, it was fake, it was a hoax. Here's the thing. Characters like Steve, with no voice, aren't on the menu. Because they don't speak, they have no voice lines to listen to, so they simply aren't there. Which could mean that the final Smash Ultimate character is voiceless. They do not speak. Who does that sound like to you? Take a guess at who I'm thinking that could coincide with. That's right. Frisk. It could be Frisk, right? Please? Maybe? Hopefully? I don't know. Something else interesting is that most of the DLC characters have had something to promote, you know, Joker, or like something more recent to promote, rather. Joker had Persona 5 Strikers, Hero, Dragon Quest XI, Banjo, I'm pretty sure was released on Game Pass, but, you know, that was more of a fan pick anyways. It was like for the fans that have been requesting him for so long. Like a Smash ballot choice. You know, there's a bunch of SNK titles on the Switch. Byleth, of course, for 3 Houses. Min Min for ARMS. Steve, obviously biggest game ever, but also had Minecraft Dungeons releasing around that time. Sephiroth, Final Fantasy Remake. Pyra and Mithra, Xenoblade 2, plus Torna, you know, and also Xenoblade 3 is probably on the way. And Kazuya, Tekken 7. So, you know, maybe thinking, this next character, they might have something else to promote as well, right? Luckily, Toby Fox happens to be developing what's currently the most highly anticipated indie title, Deltarune. So, Frisk's inclusion would perfectly promote Deltarune. Like, it would work perfectly. Right? Like, that's the perfect promotion. So, Frisk is easily, you know, Shantae is out. Shovel Knight, he's not exactly out. He's an assist trophy. Some could argue that makes him a little less likely, but he's not exactly out. But Frisk is very clearly, in my eyes, in my mind at least, the most likely indie rep. And after everything I've said here today, the lack of spirits, Toby's relationship with Sakurai and Nintendo, the possibility of an additional character being added to the Fighters Pass after the fact, the Deltarune being released to promote with a character, Undertale's massive popularity both here in the West and in Japan, where it's huge. Are you still gonna tell me that Frisk is an impossible pick? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Here's the thing. I know I'm insane here. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some sort of mastermind for listing all this stuff, or not even listing, just rambling for 25 minutes. Frisk is my prediction. I'm not gonna change it. We have a few months until the next Smash reveal. Like, the earliest we could possibly see them is like September, the latest being December. So we have a bit of time to wait. I promise you this. Nothing. Well, I shouldn't say that. If they release Undertale Spirits, obviously I'm not going to predict Frisk. If they release Undertale Spirits beforehand. But aside from that, nothing is going to change my stance on this. Frisk is the final Smash Ultimate character. I will record my reaction to the final direct so that I can see Frisk be revealed. Okay, now I'm getting a little too overconfident, but you get my point. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If this is even a video, it's sort of just me talking about Frisk in Smash for 25 minutes, almost half an hour. That is a very long time. If you made it this far, thank you, but also, what are you doing? But anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about all of this? Is this just me being completely senseless and dumb, like I often am? Or is there actually some merit to what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all later. Protendo out.